Good evening, race fans. Welcome, man. We are live tonight, Daytona International Speedway here for the Daytona for the Majors 2020 Sportsman Series. Going to be a good one here. 2.4 hours of IMSA style racing. We got multi-class style cars out here, and it's going to be exciting to kick off the 2020 series here in the Majors. Well, I'm Joe White up in the booth, accompanied by Patrick Colby. Patrick, how you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing awesome, and I'll tell you what, good group of guys out here to kick this thing off here for the 2020 season. Hope everybody enjoys it. Road racing style, Daytona. It is a world center of racing. I call it the epicenter of all things motorsports here, and it kicks off a lot of things. It's definitely for NASCAR, 24 hours here and whatnot, but a good endurance style race that we're getting. Now, these are the Sportsman guys here tonight. I appreciate it out there, John. And I want to appreciate everybody tuning in. The guys here at the Majors, they're a class act, and they'll put on an awesome show. We got multi-class cars out here. We have the Daytona prototype with the Corvette. We got the Ferraris, the Porsches, the BMWs, the Mercedes. A lot. We got the, obviously, prototype GTE and the GT3 style classes out here. Going to be interesting to kick this thing and see the difference in cars and the difference these guys are about to put on a show here. What do you think we're going to see, man, tonight here in this 2.5 hours?
I think you're going to see a lot of swapping back and forth of positions. Everybody's really quick. Everybody's got pretty similar pace around here. It's going to be
Absolutely. I think a lot of these guys, man, are going to, what you just said, they've got a lot of pace. They've got a lot of speed. And a lot of things are going to, what's up, Max? How y'all doing, man? Marco, appreciate everybody tuning in. Hey, yeah, absolutely. Love the overlay, love everything. I want to appreciate Mike and all the guys here at the Major Series. Let's put this on here for the Sportsman Series. Showcase these guys, definitely showcase their talent and what they can do on the track here tonight. So it should be all right. That's all right. Nothing wrong with that. But just to showcase a little about what these guys can do here in the Sportsman Series, because, they're running in this prestigious style series that the Majors puts on. They put on a series throughout the year of unique style. Well, it's not unique races, but it's the real authentic style races throughout. They have the Daytona 500, the Indy 500. They do the Le Mans races, the Spa races, Sebring style races. So a lot of great races they put on. But tonight, we're focusing on Daytona here at the 2.4 hours, and sure enough, they will have the 24 hours of Daytona also. Will be kind of exciting. These guys for the time, you've got to pace yourself. Well, obviously, only going to be one driver. I was used to. We did 24 hours of Le Mans several months ago, and that was interesting, Patrick, because they had multi teams, but they had multi drivers also. So there you go.
Yeah, it's definitely, it adds a different layer to things when you add different drivers in, because everybody drives the car a little bit differently.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Well, Marco, I'm not sure which split you're looking for. This is actually the Sportsman split. The Pro split is obviously up there. Yeah, it's like Pro 2. There you go. Yeah, Pro 2. Well, they Pro 2 split, not Sport, but it did actually tell me it was a Sportsman series. But Pro 2, Sportsman, either way. How we go. How you doing, Austin? How's everyone out there? We're getting set here to go green flag tonight, and these guys, man, are warming it up. We got about a minute left. Get all your refreshments taken care of. Get everything settled down. It's going to be interesting. We're going to talk a lot about these teams out here. Talk a lot about the drivers. We're focused more on the drivers in this one. The last one we focused more on was a team event. This one here, it'd be more focusing on the drivers and what they're going to accomplish, because obviously, there's different style cars out here, and you can see the different ones. And me and Patrick was going over them there for a little while earlier on in the race. Let's see, you can see one of them out there right now. That's Sean. Now, some of these names, go ahead and apologize straight up. Definitely want to get them right, but we know it's Sean. Hamel?
Yeah, your guess is going to be as good as mine on that.
Well, this is the session that he told me to be in. Yeah, he said look for this one, so this is the right one there, Austin. I got you. So, Pro 2, it will go with the Pro DPs in it. Yeah, we actually do have some. Yeah, there you go, John. Yeah. So all right, we'll get it figured out as we go on throughout this thing here. Now, cars that we've got to look out for in this one. We definitely got some classes in here. The Corvette, what you can see right there with the car logo there, Patrick. I'm gonna say they call it the Daytona prototype. Obviously got the GTE Ferrari, Porsche, and the BMW. GT3 Mercedes is out here, and an Audi. A couple of drivers out there in the Audis. But just to break it down to you, the yellow is obviously the prototype. The blue, the GTE, and the pink ones here, which I'll show you right off the bat if we get down there to you, is actually the GT3. So that'll actually help you split up and look for the driver going on in the race right now.
And nobody got any love for the Fords tonight.
All right, hang on.
don't have a job to find. And if I work tonight, I'm so tired tonight. I'll fall asleep when I'm home. When I'm home. I was just so far from here, focused on my own way, with never looking back to those who lived in fear. There was nothing I could do, there was nothing you said that could make me realize how much lucky I was. Just out of reach of the fire, was not aware of the nightmare. But when I stopped to see those eyes begging for help, begging for hope, just need to open my eyes now to try to change into sunshine, to be someone among others. I've got to try. If I bleed tonight, if I am sad tonight, I don't have a job to find. If I work tonight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Sorry about that. A little bit of confusion on that one. Obviously, there's a lot of different splits here, and just to let you know what's happening out here is these guys, man, they go through, they have their Pro Series, they have their Pro 2, and then they have their Sportsman Series. And then now we're in the right series here. Ryan Steele and all these guys, so definitely here now. Well, we're racing at Daytona, and I tell you, Patrick, right here, 2.5 hours, these guys are going to have a long... You got to pace yourself in a race like this.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot's going to change over the next 2.5 hours.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
focused on my own way, with never looking back to those who lived in fear. There was nothing I could do, there is nothing you said that could make me realize how much lucky I was.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. And again, I apologize for a little confusion right there. Just trying to get all these orders in and trying to make sure we're in the right one. We were the right one now. Now, we're talking about GT3 style cars out here. And what you're going to see throughout this race, guys, man, they're going to put on a good show. Now, this is the Sportsman series. And they're racing out here pretty good so far. Well, 2.5 hours of this. What you think out there, Patrick? What you think we're going to see here in the next 2.5 hours?
Well, if the next 2.5 hours is anything like the first 15 minutes, you got pretty much a 3-car breakaway for the lead, and they're just getting out.
Nice. Sounds like an awesome plan there. And I tell you, it's a good one here. Is we got some passing going on all over the place so far on the track. Let's just see if we can't see what we happening here. Under the lights at Daytona tonight. These guys, man, are going to put on an excellent show here. Zachary Brown's the man out front. Now, the blue cars, GTE. GT3 sitting in the pink style car. So right now, Zachary Brown owns that class. Joshua is the man sitting in the GT3 style car. He owns that class right now.
Just had a pass for the lead, too. Looks like Zach Brown went right past Mark Stevenson. Don't know if he let him have the position or what coming through the track.
Yeah, it did right there. Good battle. They're on top of each other. Got them set of Ferraris. Looks like BMW out front for the moment. You got the Ferraris, though. I'm going to tell you, from what I saw at Le Mans this past couple months ago, the Ferraris, they had the power. The BMW had the handling. So I'm going to say at this track, it's going to be kind of unique. When you get into the NASCAR style of things or in the turns here and the straightaway, I think that's where the Ferraris really going to excel. The BMWs, though, in the turns and when you get into those sharp style turns and the S's, that's where they're going to excel. Right now, Zachary Brown, though, he's holding his own in that BMW.
Yeah, I think you're going to see him start to pull away a little bit once they pull down to the inside of.
Absolutely. Let's go on back here and see what else is going on here for about the 4th, 5th, 6th place spots. You got Gustavo and then battle for the lead. Back up front, though, you're right. Look at that Ferrari just zoomed by in. That's a good passing zone right there, and he made that pass look clean.
And it looks like they might get a 2-for-1 here as Brian looks to go around Zachary at the same.
Yeah, at the same time there, looks good. That Brian's going to not be able to make the pass yet. Inside the lane there, Zachary's got it. He's still going to battle him on the outside, so it's a good side-by-side duel.
Yeah, he got a great run coming through that turn right.
Yes, he did, and he's going to make that pass. So Mark up front, along with Brian Chambers there in second. Zachary Brown hanging on the third. Gustavo right there sitting in the 4th place spot. And you got David. He's back in 5th. Those cars are in a freight train a little bit. Now, if anybody watched back with the Majors 24, you saw that they got really split out a lot. Well, here, yeah, they will get split up a little bit, but they'll be more closer here because the draft does play a factor, especially right now when they're in the NASCAR Turn 4 area, it looks like they're coming out of, and they're going to fly out around that part. You know, have you ever raced here before, Patrick?
Yeah, we've done here a couple of times, whether it be with some GTE cars or with the NASCAR side.
Oh, okay. Nice. I have never done the road course side of it. I've done the actual oval, but I've never done the road course.
It's a challenge, you know, whether you're in the lighter cars like the Ferraris and the BMWs or you're in the big heavy stock cars like NASCAR. It's pretty technical.
No doubt. Well, as we're looking at the man that's holding down the GT3 class right now, Joshua and the Mercedes looking good. That Mercedes got a lot of great power to it right there. As well, I tell you what, up front though, those guys just will not get away from each other. Brian Chambers, Zachary, like they're doing a lot of passing up front there. Gabo, he's hanging on to the 4th place spot. Mark still leading it in that GTE class. They're just on top of each other.
You wonder how long can they keep abusing the tires getting after each other before it eventually just falls off.
Well, that's another thing we need to, we'll speak of. Maybe somebody out there that's viewing it and watching maybe can chime in and let us know from the drivers.
Mark Stevens went around.
Oh, let's go back and watch it on the replay, see what happened. We can go back here and see on the replay. So the leader out by himself going into one of the turns here, and he just looped it. We don't really talk a lot about that. We're right there. Your braking points, what you have to do. Luckily, it didn't hit anything, tear up the car. And what you just said could have, the worst scenario is hurt the tires by sliding it. But something like that right there, braking points, shifting points, what they have to do here, it's a mental game.
It is. It definitely gets taxing, especially with these longer races. I mean, we're really still in the premature area of this race. It's only 20 minutes in. Long ways.
Oh yeah, long way to go. Got a lot of time here for these guys just to be patient. And what I was going to say before, 2.5 hours. What do you, what goes through your mind as a driver? Sitting here, you're trying to be kind of calm, and I mean, 2.5 hours is a long time.
Yeah, it's just consistency. You don't really want to push the car too hard because, like Mark, you don't want to kind of force yourself into a mistake and beat yourself. But it's really about consistency over the long run.
Yeah, it is. Right there, see a good pass for around about the 13th place spot. Nathan and Peter, those two guys are going at it, tooth and nail. You got a lot of cars that are all bunched up back here in the back. Again, Joshua holding down the top spot in the GT3. You got to go back to the 20th spot, 20th overall, but actually second in the GT3 class. And you've got Paul and Robert right there battling it out amongst those two. Now, Robert's a little bit off of him, not too far, but he could actually get up there and maybe get that spot back.
Yeah, absolutely. And it definitely looks like Joshua's kind of checking out on that class for right now anyway.
No doubt. Oh, got a spin crash. Let's go back and watch what happened. That was Jason spinning back here in one of the GT3 cars. Like he's going through that. Oh, he just looped it around. Hard hit to the wall, too. Audi machine out there. Oh.
Yeah, you definitely never like doing that, especially this early into one of these things.
No, got a little bit of nose damage on that thing right there, but hey, you carry a lot of speed coming off the backstretch right there with that car. The next thing you know, boom, right into it. Well, again, I want to appreciate everybody tuning in. Sorry about the little technical difficulties on it here. Just trying to find the right area, the right race so we can all get on here and enjoy it. Zachary Brown, the man out front. Brian Chambers there in second. Mark Stevenson hanging on the third. Gustavo right there in the 4th place spot. And Brian hanging on the top 5. So a lot of good drivers up front so far, but right now it's owned by the BMW guys.
I have to give Mark some credit. He's certainly making a comeback drive. He's really closed that gap in since going around.
Yeah, he is. And, well, he had a fast car there earlier on, and, you've got to look. Is it going to hold on to the end here? You talked about pit stops. We talked about everything else. And, under the lights here, it should be some pretty cool weather here. In fact, let's just go and let you see what it is out here weather-wise. It'll be about, well, I'm showing 20 Celsius, so that's actually, my math right, going to be around about 60-some, 70 degrees or so.
Yeah, sitting about 69 degrees right now.
That's pretty good conditions for a track.
Oh, absolutely. Should make these cars really stick into it pretty good. Track's nice and cool, too, sitting at 72 degrees.
Well, let's go back here. Gary Nichols went off track right now. What happened to him here on the replay? Watching. A lot of these guys, man, with these cars, the one big thing about road racing, it's a technical thing. We love the point about oval style racing, but these guys out here, when they talk about the road racing, you've got to hit your braking points. You got to hit, your downshift and everything like that. Oh yeah, off the track right there. You just see him overdrove the turn.
Yeah, you get caught out like that. Just that little moment where you're not maybe paying attention as closely as you should.
Are these faster than NASCAR? I would say they got a lot more downforce than the NASCAR cars too. Even with the cup package like it is, these cars right here, I mean, a GTE, GT3 style car is built for handling. I wouldn't think they would be faster than the NASCAR ones, because I think they're maybe a tad bit heavier. I could be wrong. Maybe get some technical info out there about them. I do love the GT style cars though.
I think they probably handle better in the infield. Again, they got all that downforce on it, that big wing up off the back, but I'd say when they get out onto the NASCAR oval, that's probably where NASCAR has the advantage.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you were running a pure oval track here, the NASCAR guys would, the Cup car probably would outdo them. Yeah, and obviously in the road course side of things, that's what these cars are built for. GTE 3s, I love them. I really do. No, not a Lamborghini. The only ones we have out here is BMW, Ferrari, Porsche, which are the GTEs, and then a GT3 you have the Mercedes and Audis out here. Kind of give you an idea of what cars we have out here. Zach Brown, he's hanging it down with the BMW right now. And looks good doing it.
Yeah, he's keeping Conor under pressure because Brian is certainly putting a lot of pressure.
Yeah, Brian is right there. So any little mishap, I always say when it comes to road course racing, that, you could have a 2 or 2 second lead over the field. That doesn't really mean a lot because it only takes one turn to really, really mess up. And you want to talk about some passing, we got to go back here about the mid-pack, around about 10th, 11th, 12th place spot. Those guys are mixing it up pretty good.
Yeah, they're certainly not wasting any time. This race may be 2.5 hours long, but they're getting at
The main biggest difference between a GT and a GT3 that I know of, one has anti-lock brakes and one does not. I know that is a major, major difference. GTEs do not have anti-lock brakes or ABS on them. They do have traction control on both the cars, but they don't have the ABS on the GTE. They do on GT3. There's some other notable differences, as far as like aerodynamics go, power, how much they can have on their turbos, BOP is what they call it, BOP, stuff like that. And that's why you see the biggest difference in the GT cars right now. They're definitely been outpacing Joshua back there in the 17th place spot. And the GT3s are never going down. GT3 is a little more nimble. It weighs a little bit less. So in cornering and stuff like that, yes. But as far as the GTE style goes, yeah, you're looking at, it's got a lot more power. Still an awesome driving machine.
Yeah, you'll see similar cars in both categories. I believe there's a GTE and a GT3 Ferrari.
Yes, absolutely. Right now, looking pretty good so far. Joshua's hanging on to the GT3 category there in 17th place spot. You got Paul sitting in second. Sure, we can do that for you. No problem. Got here just to show you what these guys. Joshua right now, he is running in that Moto, like the Moto 92 or 322.com machine out there. Team names up underneath them there, folks. Him modulating around here. Pretty good on this track. He's been kind of smooth right now. He's in a GT3 style Mercedes. What are you seeing on the track, Patrick?
I'm just enamored with this battle for the lead. These guys are just not gonna let it go. They're not gonna back off up here for the GT.
The GTE style, you're right. That's actually Brian Chambers right there. He's looking pretty good. All over the back end of that man. Wow, good one so far there.
What's going to be really curious is they're starting to come up on some lap cars, so how they navigate that is going to be probably the most important part of this.
And you're right, that definitely is true, how they navigate around those machines. Wow. Yes. And actually, one of the major sponsors here for this event, go ahead and shout that out for you, because that's definitely a major thing. And you're right, because we got Cure, LGM D2I, limb girdle muscular dystrophy, a sponsor. That's actually one of the associations that they're contributing to here for this Daytona tonight. No, Jeff Gordon, Jeff Gordon, actually JF Gordon. I was going to say he's keen to him or not. See what happened to him here. Crashes. He's side by side in that Porsche. Oh, contact. And another BMW got together. Like one of them road course racing incidents.
Yeah, it's so hard because there's just so little room when you're not on the NASCAR side of.
That's right. Yes, Wooly, they do have actual sponsors on their car. A lot of these guys do run, real style sponsors, and a lot of them running their teams out there too, as you can see. No, just got a lot. Oh yeah, absolutely. Hope y'all enjoying it right now. Long race for these guys. Again, you just got to pace yourself around here. Can't be, you don't want to just overdo it early on. You mentioned tire wear there, Patrick. These guys, man, the guys, and we got some good passing going on for about 6th and 7th right there. Brian's, he's got a good battle with Daniel. Dieto. Yeah, if y'all got a favorite driver out there you want us to showcase or look at, let us know. Absolutely. If he's out here on the field, we'll definitely give him a show. Because like I said, this is their Sportsman series here. Uh-oh, Nathan crashing. Let's go back and watch the replay again. He's on the NASCAR side of things there on the front stretch. Got off into turn one, and he just lost it right. Oh, that could have been disastrous right there, Patrick. Wow.
You really have to give credit to a lot of these guys for being able to kind of take evasive actions on this stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing you got to look at too. How you doing out there, Sandra? How's everybody? Hi,
Mark
everybody.
Stevenson just went around again in the bus stop.
Oh, back and watch the replay. Let folks know what happened. Yeah, he's coming out of the turn, NASCAR turn right there.
Looks like he just missed the braking point by a little bit there.
That's a high-speed area. Where he's coming, he's got to go way down. You don't have to go way down, but you've got to hit that thing just right. Yeah, and it just looped right out from under him.
You think it's one of those things where he's pushing it too hard, trying to make up for earlier mistakes?
Yeah, I think it is. And Mark now is just trying to, you get into that zone, get into these guys, you get behind and you start thinking, I've got to make up all the time in the world early. You got to remember, you've got a lot of time here left to make it up. You've got pit stops, strategies will come in. Now he's lost a lot of time. He's 11 seconds behind the leader. So he wants to be patient. He knows he's got a fast car. Don't want to tear that thing up. I mean, got to be patient here. And maybe, we were talking about the Sportsman series being here. It's the first time they've been broadcast. Maybe they're getting a little nervous out there.
They might be. When you got people watching, you definitely want to put on a good show for them.
Well, as far as the compound goes out there, I'm not 100% sure on what kind of compound they would use as far as iRacing would go and so forth. It is a virtual world of iRacing, which is, I know there's a lot of controversy going on out there, but look, this is the realest thing you get without spending millions of dollars to go real racing. As far as fuel goes, that's that's what we were looking at. This is a timed event. We got 2.4 hours, 30 minutes into it right now. If I had to guess, and just going off the Le Mans race, this track here might not be quite as big as Le Mans. It's close. But just going out to Le Mans race with what the GT did in it, I'm going to have to say probably around the hour mark is where they could go. Maybe hour and 15, something like that.
Yeah, I think you're right about right in that.
Nathan back off the track again. He was off the track earlier on. See what happened.
I'll be curious to see how strategy plays out here. Is if anybody decides to short pit to start the race and maybe kind of try and stretch it out towards.
Yeah, we did have some guys that did that last time. You know, obviously there is no caution, so that's not going to slow down the pace of the race or anything there. Watching this replay here on Nathan, looks like again through the bus stop, overdrove it, went through the grass. Looks like it's going to be a problem point here tonight for these guys.
It's such a long ways down the backstretch. You build up so much speed, especially being behind somebody. Maybe you get a little bit of that tunnel vision going on, and you miss it ever so slow.
Yeah, right there. Let's go back here. The fourth place driver in the GT3 class, back in 23rd position, Ernie Ludwig. Back there racing pretty good. He's by himself in that Mercedes machine. Kinetic Racing. Kinetic American Sports right there.
I will tell you what, you got some good-looking cars out here tonight.
We do. I like a lot of these paint jobs. Looking through the field here right now, just kind of shuffling through. Lucas hanging on to the fifth in the GT class. Got Nolan back there in sixth in that class. A lot of those guys, they're kind of more spread out a little bit than what the actual GTE machines are up front. Those guys are kind of hammered together. Back here GT3 class, they're kind of spread out pretty good.
Yeah, maybe playing the long run a little bit again. Joshua is just checked out from Paul. He's got, what, a 5-second lead going on?
Joshua, yes, he does. Got a really, really good lead right there, hanging on to it. Chris Y. Let's see if we can find him for you. Bring him up for you back here. That would be Chris. He's back in the 14th position of GT3 class. See what kind of livery he was in. Paint job. Looks like the Force machine out there.
Yeah, maybe he had a little bit of an incident. I got him 2 laps down at the moment.
Yeah, not tonight. He's wanting. I mean, he, you know, one, and that's another thing with the road racing. If you get a lap down, it's going to be very, very hard to get that back. You know, it's a timed event, so a lot of these guys, they look at the actual time and so forth. Just to give you an idea. Well, also as far as laps downs, you can't really look at that because GT3 to GTE, it's going to show you a lap because it'll show you the full field. Right now, Chris is sitting 14th in the GT3 class. But he's sitting 34th on the field. We started out here, we got 35 drivers in the field right now. Oh, no problem, Keith. So, you know, just in to say up front, you still got Brian and Zach. Those two guys are bumper to bumper. I mean, Brian won't let Zachary go.
You wonder how long they'll be able to kind of hang on to that. How long can they keep this up? Surely it can't be for the whole 2.5 hours.
Well, it's nerve-wracking. I mean, you know, right now, Brian's sitting in a spot. If he knows he's faster than Zachary, why push it right now? Just see what you got running behind him. And maybe later on, you know, try to push around him.
Would you rather be in that spot? Do you want to be the chaser or the leader in these situations?
That's a good question. I mean, it all depends. Again, the longest race I've ever run was 3.5 hours, and I did that several years ago. We did a simulated Le Mans style road race in GT3 style cars. with that, you pretty much in the road race, you're kind of, it's different from oval style when you're trying mostly racing against a lot of the drivers. And I'm not saying you're racing against, you're not here, but a lot of road racing, you're racing your own race, your own pace, and the track. And you're seeing Brian right there. He's probably looking, going, okay, Zachary's got a good pace. He's not holding me up. He's not doing anything like that, as they do look like they're going to modulate around some GT3 machines there. If I feel like if Brian gets the opportunity to go around him, he will. If I'm Brian, I sit where I'm at right now. Why abuse my equipment?
Yeah, I want to be right where Brian's sitting because, you know, that guy in front of you, he's looking out his mirror probably just as much as he's looking out his windshield.
Yeah, and then Real out there, you know, talked about too, you know, saving fuel. That's another thing you got to look at. Back here. Samuel Scott crashing here. Let's go back on the replay and see. Oh, he just lost it. Went into the turn one loop right there. Looks like that's a problem area for Light. He's got that Porsche E machine there. Ow.
That's kind of, it's such a weird corner because you can brake a lot later than you think you can, but it also sneaks up on you really fast.
It does. Well, it's a high-speed area, too. You're coming out of the NASCAR turn 4. You're going across the start-finish line. You're coming in with such massive speed. You got to whoa that thing down, and it'll jump out from under you. I mean, even though these cars do have a massive amount of downforce and handling to them, you're still running a lot of speed. And, I mean, let's be honest with you, you can't flat-foot it in every turn.
No, I mean, what fun would that be if you could, though?
Wow, yeah. I tell it to the guys, man, at Daytona on the cup side of stuff.
I don't know. They spend a lot of time up in the air, so I'm not sure they have too much fun with it either.
Yeah, true. Well, I'll tell you what, folks. Give you a little info here. You know, we're at the majors here, Pacific Major Series. Check them out at the PacificMajors.com. Check them out. They have a full list of their standing schedules and everything out there. Charity tonight is presented by the Cure LGMD 2i. And that's a good charity that they're giving out here tonight for the Daytona 2020 for the 2.4 hours of IMSA here. And I give you a little bit of info on what we're going to see tonight. Obviously, the faster cars, you know, need to take the high side if they possibly can. Moving on out the way, you know, because the faster cars being the GTE styles will definitely, well, obviously have the right of way going into it. But check out a lot of the stuff that they've got in the majors. If you're not very familiar with who the major series is and where they were founded, wow, they got a lot of great info out there. A lot of you know, give you update on some of the rules, and also give you some update on, you know, interesting things about Le Mans and Daytona. Obviously, I always talk about Daytona being the epicenter of all things. Oh, it is the world center of racing, Patrick.
It is, and it's such a special track. If you ever get to go to it live, I suggest anybody take the opportunity to if you're ever in the area. It's amazing to look.
Well, you know, we're not done here at the majors, but, you know, tonight we're having a pretty good race here along with these guys at the 2.4 hours here at Daytona for the and all. But the schedule's on there too, and the schedule is jammed packed. February the 9th, we're going to do the Daytona 500 as we get far off practice. That is. Oh, Gustavo. Bravo.
Oh, he's having such a good run too.
It was. Let's go back on the replay here, see what happened. I don't know if he got tangled up with someone. He's back there battling. Oh, looks like he might have got a little love tap in the back corner. Put him around. But back to what I was saying here, you look at the schedule, it's on there, February 9th. We do have a full Daytona 500. That's NASCAR style there. And then back in March 1st, we got the 2004 Rockingham 400. And then we got the Race of the Neverlands on March 22nd, the World 600, the Indy 500. They've got a Le Mans race. So check out the schedule there. It's posted up on the website, thepacificmajors.com, or you can look at the link down in the description. Again, appreciate all these guys. It's a good race so far out here amongst all these drivers. Samuel spinning going into turn one or in the bus stop. I think he got a little help off the track. Looks like a lot of guys are having some trouble here, Patrick.
Yeah, it definitely looks like you're getting to that part of the run where maybe the tires are a little bit worn out and, you know, you're getting ready to pit, but you're just trying to stretch it that little extra way.
Yeah, there you go. And you're right. I mean, these guys out here, you got Zachary still leading it. Brian's just chasing him down there. Mark's still hanging on back in the third place spot. Remember, he had 2 spins earlier on, got him marred way, way back. He's about 10 seconds back from the leader. Actually puts him, solid 9 seconds back from Brian, the second place man.
Yeah, he's holding on pretty well. He's managed to hang on to that third spot, so I would say all in all, he's doing pretty.
Well, he's got company right there. Brian Hollick right there behind him. Daniel Johnson there in the 5th place spot. All 3 of those machines right there kind of glued up a little bit. And Dennis hanging on to the 6th place machine right there.
And he's moved up a lot of sways too. He started on the grid 16th.
Good run for him. They are, Wooly. They actually, this is the Sportsman Series. They have the Pro Series. They have the Pro 2 Series. And the Pro Series, obviously, you can check that out. They have the European. They have GSRC, Race Spot, and all that. They have over on the iRacing Esports Network. So check that out. We're here in the Sportsman Series. Giving these guys some good exposure out here. It's been a good, very good race right now. 42 minutes into this one.
Yeah, you slowly close in about an hour away from that halfway, or 30 minutes away from the halfway point, excuse me.
Let's see right here. Gilbert out here, he one of the GT3 machines crashing. Looks like he just stopped. Well, what happened? Stopped in the middle of the track and then towed it. I don't know if he had a technical problem or not.
Yeah, it looks like his day has gone from bad to worse. Started 21st and has just kind of slowly fallen as the race has gone.
Lucas, another one crashing here. Let's see what happened in the backside. A lot of the GT3 cars. Now, again, we talked about them. Right, and he just looped it in the turn. Spinning around. A lot of the GT3 cars, we talked about it. Samuel Scott crashing also. So I think, said earlier about the tires. I think these guys, and he went into the fast part, turn 1, and just overshot the turn, it looked like. And that thing looped out from under him. Heads up by the driver behind him there.
Yeah, especially now, you got somebody right on your tail and you brake, try and brake as late as you can, but the tires are just worn out at this point.
I think you're right. The tires right now are getting to the point where you've got to back it down. I always say back the corners back. Kind of make those things to where they're not quite as, when you're earlier on, brake fade, it plays a very huge factor here. That's something we don't, at Daytona, we obviously don't have to worry about a lot of in the NASCAR side of things. But in these road races, they definitely do because they're hard on the brakes. They give out after a while, and you can't go hard into the brakes going in. Plus, brake bias. Got too much brake bias going to the back or the forward, can send that car around.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things iRacing does an incredible job at is kind of the fade of the brakes over time. And you are starting to see it, I think. And you will see it even more as the 2.5 hours goes.
And that means you'll just have to start, looking at your braking point going into the turns. You'll have to back them up instead of going in there kind of, all out, really hard or whatnot. And again, it depends on what your brake bias. They can control that inside the car. The GT3 machine, being probably a little bit lighter, nimble, than the actual GTE machine. You can get away with a little more, as we see right there. Battle, like Mark in the third place. Still stay up in third. Goes around one of those lap cars.
But I will say, I'm going to give that lap car some huge shout outs, because that might be my favorite paint scheme of the
Yeah, actually. That is. There's actually the Ferrari of Robert. Close up of it. American flag.
Yeah, Waylon Miller.
Ah, go.
Just, I like the way it looks. It's looking awesome on that Ferrari.
Wrong with that. Nice.
Ah, you look good, you feel good, you race good, right?
Actually, Waylon and Robert. Robert's the one right behind the Mark there. They both had the same paint job out there. Looking group. Yeah, patriotic. There you go. Name would put out there. Hope you're enjoying the action on the track so far, because a lot of these guys, and we talked about pit stops, pit road. A couple guys coming on pit road.
I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty busy place here in another lap or two.
Yeah, and I said about an hour in that they would. It could be less than that. I was just going off the fact of what they did at the Le Mans series. So, you know, it could be right now with the 47-minute mark. And it could try to go in a little bit early. Then again, also those Ferraris, or you know, depending on the make, different fuel mileage, you know, could play a factor. The GT3s can go a lot longer than the E. That is another big one there to make note of. GT3, so I could be like 50 minutes for the GTE, an hour and 5 for the GT.
Yeah, that kind of difference in power will really show a difference in fuel mile.
Well, tell you what, man here is not having the best night. Mark Stevenson went off the track again. See what happened on the replay. Yeah, he is just got out front earlier on, had a fast machine, spun it around on his own, has not been able to keep it. And I think what's happening now is he's just pushing. He's going through the bus stop part here. Let's see what happens. I think he probably just overshot it, just overbroke. Yep, and the bus stop kind of clipped it. That's going to give him a slowdown penalty. Wow.
I think probably at this point, if it was me, I'd just kind of mentally take a step back and relax into that third spot and try and put together a really good hour coming up here after the pits.
Yeah, if I was him, I'll go along with you on that one. If Mark, the trouble he's been having, I think he's pushing the car. Now he's back, still about 10 seconds back. You know, he knows he's got a fast machine. The problem is I think he's overdriving it, maybe overthinking a little bit. Getting himself in a little bit of trouble out there. And Zachary Brown right now, he's actually pulling away from Brian up front just a little bit, not too much. Brian's actually still hanging on with him right there.
But you wonder if Brian's backed off the pace, save a little bit, maybe go an extra lap.
That could be, you know, that's another thing you've got to look at is Mark is on pit road. He's had enough. He's going to get on pit road. That's about the 50-minute mark. That's a GTE style car, so maybe we'll start seeing the leaders come in here. And yep, leaders on pit road. Brian Chambers. No, actually, this went around a lap machine. My bad. But it'll be interesting to see if Zachary and Brian both come into pit road here the next time by.
Well, especially because now they're going to start losing a lot of time to Mark Stevens once he gets back out on the track. Those new tires are going to put a real big dent in lap time.
Now, so far, so good. Everybody out here being patient. Zachary Brown leading the GTE class. Joshua's the man holding on to the GT3 class right now. Sitting there in first place. He's had that thing on a lock pretty much all night long.
Yeah, he's done a really good job of keeping it clean and keeping it on the track, both him and Brian. And it's really starting to show as they continue to really pull away from Mark and Brian and Daniel.
Yes, it does. Right there, Paul sitting in the second place spot of the class. You've got him sitting in 17th overall. Robert sitting in the third place spot. Ernie Ludwig right there hanging on the fourth place. And fifth place, Nolan. Us, your top five for the GT3 class. Right now, Mercedes owns the top 8 spots in the GT3. And you've got an Audi sitting in ninth place, which is going to be 9th, 10th, and 11th. Only two manufacturers. Right now, the Mercedes are dominating the GT3.
Only 4 cars left of the GT3s on the lead lap at the moment. Joshua is he's really slowly climbing up the grid.
Yeah, and you're going to see that. I mean, the GT guy with Zachary with the pace they're putting down, they're actually going to eventually lap those guys without a doubt. Brian's still hanging on there with him.
Yeah, he's pulled back up there a little bit too. And closed in by about 4/10 of a.
Well, I tell you what, he is lonely up there. Zachary is a lonely BMW out front, and you got the Ferraris all right behind him, which are sitting in, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh place. All Ferraris. You got to go back to eighth place in G class of Peter before you even see a Porsche. Right behind him and Knight's another BMW and around top 10 of Ferrari. So Ferrari right now they'd love to take that top spot. BMW owns it. Porsche is trying to get up there. You got a slew of Ferraris out here.
Yeah, and it's easy to feel why if you ever get behind the wheel of one of the Ferraris. They're just such a well-balanced car. They don't really do anything fantastic, but they do everything pretty.
And I agree with you. And that's the one thing too. Ferrari owns Le Mans a lot. Ford has theirs out there too in the GT class. We don't see any of the Ford Ds out here though. But, and don't get me wrong, I love the BMW GTE machine right there. I think it looks very, very aggressive. It's the M6 machine. Not mistaken, I don't think they've changed it. It's the M6 one that they've got out there. Very, very fast. Got a long heritage of racing and road racing. IMSA and the block pane, IMSA, and all those different kind of road courses.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts about endurance racing is you really get to see a really long, old history of racing brought out by a lot of these manufacturers, whether it be Ford or BMW or Ferrari and Audi. It's an awesome thing to watch it develop year after.
Yeah, you're right there, Patrick. I mean, that's the thing. Look at a lot of great history with the Ferraris, the BMWs, even the Porsche out here. I mean, when it comes to road racing, it's just like when you look at the Ford Chevys. Even you have to throw in the Toyota, but it normally was Ford, Chevy, and the Dodge back in the day. In the NASCAR side of things, here it's the BMWs, the Ferraris, the Porsches, Mercedes, the Audis, and stuff like that that really, really are the go-to machines and manufacturers. They put so much emphasis. Looks like Zachary Brown is on pit road. Some pit stops here for the top leader.
Hey, Brian followed him right in, too.
I said about an hour. They're 54 minutes into it here with the GTE class. Not everybody's went on pit road, so I think the GT3s could stretch it a little.
Oh, looks like Zach overshot the pit stall. We'll see how much that affects it.
The A86 tuned, okay. Not familiar with what that car is right there. Not 100% on it. Chime in and let me know. But that puts Daniel B. Johnson out front. Top man. Glasses. Top three guys can put Matt right there. Take a place spot also. One thing about road racing is it can split them up. a lot when it comes to pit stops.
Zach Brown got off pit road really fast there.
Yeah, a 29-second pit stop. Now, obviously, the pit stops here, we're used to 13-second pit stops, Patrick. I mean, that's just normal for us on the NASCAR side of things. But with road racing, there's a lot more that they got to do, even though they only one lug on the tires. It takes a little bit more to fuel delivery into these cars, and a little bit longer maybe to change the tires. I am thinking, and somebody told me before, and I could be wrong, that the tires and wheels on these cars, I believe, might be a tad bit heavier than what they might be on the side of things. I know the fuel delivery is a little bit slower than what it is with the can. They all are gravity style. It's like force-fed night. They put them in with.
I believe the tires are probably a little bit heavier on these cars. You got kind of a 17-ish, 18-inch alloy wheel versus the 15-inch steels were.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not sure. I mean, that's what I saying. Somebody correct me on it. It just looks bigger. And I know the plan on NASCAR is to eventually go to a style of wheel that the GT. And that's another thing. We talk about the difference between an IMSA style car, which would be like a road race style car, which is what we're watching here. The Ferraris, the BMW, Porsches of GTE, GT3, as opposed to a NASCAR style Cup car. The Cup machine is actually trying to mimic what the GT3 or E style is in the future. That's something that NASCAR's leaning to. If you see the next car of Gen 7, I believe is what they're looking at. So it ought to be interesting to see what they got, because these cars, they are very close to what the actual manufacturer style machine are. I mean, the bodies and everything on them, they're actually pretty close.
Yeah, and I'd love to see NASCAR get back to that. Get back to, similar body lines, rear bumpers, quarters, everything.
Yeah. You're right, Willie, out there. I mean, 100% road racing. I say there's a lot of skill involved here. You're racing more of the track. You're not racing so much. And when I say it, I don't mean that you're not. Pit road is a busy, busy place right now. We got a lot of pit stops happening. I'm not saying that you're not out here racing the other drivers or trying to get what you can get, but a lot of times you're trying to concentrate on more of hitting your braking zones, hitting that apex just right, getting in and out of the turns, going through your gears. You're racing more of the track here than you are the driver in front of you, unless you're just right there on top of them and having a heated battle.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Between like this and NASCAR, they just drive so differently, and the tracks themselves are so different too. When you compare this to like a Texas or a Charlotte, to any kind of road course, whether you go to the Roval or what be it.
Yeah, no doubt. Going back here further on back, let's see who now looks like Paul is the man holding on to the top spot. Because, Joshua made his pit stop. Don't think Paul has made a pit stop out there. That's the one thing about green flag stops, and obviously all these are going to be green flag stops, is it's going to split the field up massively.
And enough credit to Zach Brown. He got a really good pit stop and has jumped out to almost a 5-second lead over Brian.
All right, what we got here, Zachary Brown still up front, that GTE class. Got down the GT3 side of things. Marco, he's hanging on to the second place spot back at 18th place here. Let us know who your favorite driver is out there. Joshua, he was holding down the top spot much the entire time.
I can't help but wonder if maybe he had an issue.
Well, his pit stop. Had a long pit stop. He had a minute 10. Got a minute 10 on his pit stop. So he was actually, for some reason, his pit stop was a lot longer. Paul's was actually a minute 01. Wow, that's a amount of time. A lot.
Yeah, it definitely shows out on the track too. Paul is he's far and away now.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard to make that ground up once you get back so far like that. I mean, right now Joshua's sitting in the second place spot. Paul's up there. Trying to get an idea of gap between those two. Gap is. So it's going to show Joshua a lap down. Third interval. Joshua's B 5 seconds.
Yeah, Paul's just coming down into the braking zone here through the tri-oval, and it looks like Joshua's just hitting the bus stop on the back straight.
Okay. So not too bad when it comes, but got some time to make up.
If he continues the pace he's been at for the whole first hour, he should have no problem reeling him back in before they make their last round of pit.
And they definitely will make one pit stop before this one's over. Now time's come to you short pit to make that time up. If you're way behind and Dan Barber spinning, crashing here. They're going to replay and watch and see what happened to him. Looks like he just blinked a little bit. That BMW lost it going into turn one out of it, spinning around. Well, that turn one gave a lot of these guys a fit tonight.
It's certainly cleaned a lot of victims tonight, hasn't it?
Yeah, no doubt. But you got to look here too, Joshua. And that GT3 machine, we were talking about it, does he have enough time to run down Patrick and Paul, up there, who was holding down the first place spot in the GT3 class? I believe he does. I mean, I think he's definitely got enough time. Here's where you got to be patient, though. Don't overdrive the car. Don't get yourself into trouble, because it's very easy to do.
Yeah, you keep the fenders on it, and I think he'll have no problem keeping the pace that he kept in the first hour of this race. And again, I'm curious to see, like you were talking about earlier, do you short pit here? Do you stay out longer? Do you just take gas and try and go the last half hour?
Well, I'm gonna say you're gonna need tires. I mean, that's just a given. But I mean, short pitting might be the thing. If you're looking at a guy like Mark, who is 12 seconds behind the leader, and even with Brian Chambers now being 4 seconds, and again, folks, we look at these numbers, being 4 seconds behind the leader, that don't take much. If Zachary up front lead right now, the GT class, was to actually just crash, fall, or did anything like that, it'd be devastating. So we're watching Paul, who was leading the GT3 class. Yes, it does. Wow. So Joshua back on pit rise. Wow.
That's just an instance of how quickly it can change for you. You go from dominating the race out in front by 10 seconds, and you're back on pit road with a broken race car.
I agree with you on that one. Yeah, so a turn of events for the leaders, as Mark right now in the GTE class was out front leading it, spun. Now the top two guys in the GT3 class, Paul, which he is still leading it, so he was far enough out there to get it. Gustavo, wrecking. Oh, he just looped it in the bus stop.
Seems like turn 1 and through that bus stop seem to have been the most popular spots tonight.
3 wide into the turn 1, not going to work. Robert's going to pay the price for it. Oh! Oh, man. The GT3 guys back there were 3 wide. Don't see that often now.
No, I definitely wouldn't recommend going 3 wide either.
Wow.
Especially through that braking zone.
Yeah, that was crazy. They're picking it up back here in the GT3 machines. Paul's still hanging on to that lead. He's got it out in front of Robert right now. He's got about a 22 second to, well, not quite 20, probably about 12 second lead. Wow.
And that's definitely a situation where, especially after the mistake where you hit the walls, you maybe back the pace off a little bit. You got plenty of cushion, no need to tear it up or use it up any more than you need.
And you're 100% correct. He definitely wants to be patient now. Got to worry about, did he do any nose damage and hurt the front end of that machine that might actually make the car overheat a little bit? Later on in the race, you got to think about that.
I think they'll probably be a bit spread out enough that he won't have to worry about it getting too hot, and he's got enough of a cushion where he might be able to get a little bit of it repaired down pit.
No doubt. Well, I'll tell you what, hey man, says you bet. Sandra, hope Joshua was runs good down there. Great job. I appreciate you. Got to go to, it's your bedtime. Oh, okay. Well, have a good night's sleep there.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out for us for a minute, man.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, Chris Y here, all off the track, and he's doing his best slide imitation in the grass. Wow. Well, we're an hour 10 into this one. I think so far here, Patrick. I mean, action's been pretty good. The GT3 guys out here, they're making it wild.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose we got nothing to lose. Might as well get after it.
Yeah, Zachary still dominating in that BMW up front. Got a 6-second lead over Brian. Looks like he's actually walking away from Brian this time around. Brian's not making up no ground.
Makes you wonder if maybe Brian was able to keep in so close with the draft down the back straightaway and then again through the tri-oval, and that's why he was able to kind of hang with it.
Yeah, and just lost it right there. I appreciate it, Willie. Appreciate all y'all tuning in. Got Mark right there, though, who's sitting in the third place. He's about 3.5 seconds back from that man. Now, he's got company behind him, David there and Donald.
Yeah, they're certainly not going to let him get away. They're going to want that podium.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. In their respective class, they're definitely going to want definitely want that podium in that, the GTE style. As we're here live tonight, under the lights here at Daytona, the 2.4 hours of Daytona for the major series here. Guys are putting on a good show. This is the Sportsman class, folks. They do have the Pro Series style class running. These are the Sportsman guys out here. Got their own series running at majors. You can check it out. Got the link down in the description there, thepacificmajors.com. This is the IMSA here tonight. GTE, GT3 cars. And really, I'll be honest with you here, Patrick, I love GTE, GT3 cars. We got a battle brewing for third. David's going to take that spot. Mark's going to say, you can have it.
Yeah, David's done a really nice job of kind of working his way up through the field for a bit.
Nolan, GT3 machines was running in fourth place back here, crashing. Let's replay, see what happened. Oh, it just went off the track. Like it just overdrove the turn.
this is really one of those points where you get to it and you kind of look at that clock and you're like, all right, well, we're halfway here, and maybe your mind starts to fade a little bit. You've kind of sunk into a rhythm.
You're right, and you do. You do sink into a rhythm. You've got to. You're so long out here. Now, when we did that 24-hour race, Patrick, I'm gonna tell you, these guys, they were out here. Nolan back in, along with Samuel Scott. Back in here to see what happened to him. Oh, he just looped it. A lot of these guys just looping it.
Yeah, and you really start to get frustrated with yourself at that point when, it's consistent mistakes and they just seem to all compound into it.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, even when these guys, when they were racing in the 24 hours, that was more of a team event. You were switching drivers. You're not switching drivers here, so you've got a long way to go. There's only one style driver here. So you're out here, and you're just trying to hit your own mark. You're trying to make sure you get this thing home in one piece. And just be careful. Don't overdrive it.
And it seems like Zach Brown has certainly been the most consistent tonight. You go and you look at his lap times, they're all, kind of mid 140. And that looks like it's been the difference for him tonight.
Lap times looking like you just said. Right. 143 for Zachary up front, 142 for Brian. Kick faster that last lap. All of those guys are right there within each other. I mean, hundreds of each other as far as lap time goes. And as far as the G3 machines go back here to Paul. His lap time with a 144. Then you got Robert at 144.1. So, again, hundreds, separating those. And when you get that close, it's hard to make up a lot of time here.
Absolutely. It's been, the name of the game has been kind of who makes the least amount of mistakes.
And so far it's been the man up front, Zachary Brown. He's got it locked down up there in that GTE machine. Even though Paul had the mishap, went off the track, it just touched the nose of that Mercedes in the GT3. Been able to maintain the top spot. Main man who was dominating earlier, Joshua. Well, back on track, way, way behind right there. And again, with the speed and the time they're running, and they can't make up a lot of time here. It's just so close.
Yeah, and that's a testament to how good this series is, and should really give credit to the owners and kind of who they bring into the league.
Well, that would be Mike there, who the owner here of the Major Series. Again, you can check out all the info from PacificMajors.com. Check those guys out. Got a lot of great racing here and a lot of great stuff going on for the series. Right now, Paul's hanging on to the GT3 side of things. Zachary Brown is the man out front for the GT. He's had that thing locked down all night long.
He's done a great job maneuvering. He had quite the crowd in front of him, but he's managed to really work this lap traffic really good and not lose a lot of time to Brian.
Like Samuel off track again, going into the turn one and looped it around. He's having a hard time with that Porsche tonight.
Haven't seen too many big collisions tonight, though, have we?
Not too many. Paul was probably one of the harder ones right there. He kind of touched the inside wall, but you've got so much room here, depending on where you slide. You usually don't hit a lot. Not saying that you can't, but considering, because if you go into turn one, too hot, that's a high bank. You come out of the NASCAR turn 4 and you head off into turn one, especially the bus stop. But again, the walls are so far away. If they do miss a turn, the apex or so forth, usually they'll just go flying all through the grass and no harm, no foul. It's like Nolan. He's back here battling it out pretty good too. GT3, and they just got a little contact between him and a one of the faster machines, and then he blinks out for a moment. All right. We got a lot of action going on with the 3 machine. A nice looking paint job on Chris. Back in 26th position to Audi. I'm gonna hope Sherburne get his last name right.
Looks like you're taking advantage of the new chrome feature with iRacing. It does look pretty good.
Yeah, that thing looks nice. Very nice.
So some of these painters, they can do amazing things with those new maps.
Oh yeah, with that new the spec map thing that came out, a lot of the painters out there have been having a field day throughout iRacing, and been able to make a lot of great paint jobs to showcase a lot of these sponsors out here. There's Austin. Well, look at that. Austin's picture shows up. His profile. Awesome. Marco sitting back here, 9th place in GT3 overall. Brett right there behind him in the 10th place spot. Joshua, who was dominating the GT3 earlier on, back in 11th overall with that. And Nolan again. Back on him and see what happened. Wrecking again. Off the track again, just tire barrier, just overdrove the turn. Now he's going to go side by side with Lucas. Side by side don't work going to that bus stop, I don't think.
It'll work for a minute.
They made it work. Wow. Just heads up driving between those two. Make me nervous. See, that's Ernie right there along with him. Nolan had to back out of it for the moment. I'm gonna let Lucas get up there. Dale Green back there also. Some good battling going on amongst the GT3 machine. They're kind of spread out a little bit on the GTE side of it. Zachary Brown still holds down a pretty good lead over him. This man right here, overall, Zachary Brown, got the GTE machine out front. Overall leader. Brian Chambers right there, but he's still Brian's about 5.96 seconds behind so far.
Yeah, now you really get to that decision making point. Do you pit early, or are you gonna run it all the way out? It's time to stick with a strat.
Well, if you remember correctly, they pitted about 54 minutes in, hour 20 right now. I'd say they got a good another 20, 25 minutes, but you're right. The guys out here are way further behind. Do you short pit? Try to make up that time. Don't want to do too much short because the tires will wear off and you don't want to be stuck.
Well, and it doesn't seem like tire fall off has been that big of a deal. Again, Zach Brown's been running pretty consistent 140, mid 142s the entire race, and Mark Stevenson, he really didn't gain a lot by pitting.
Yeah, best lap time of Zachary was 141. His last lap time was 142. So you're right, about a second and a half fall off far when it comes to tire wear. One of the major issues that are not really major things that I am seeing big difference. See if I'm right. Looks like the GTE cars, the pit stop, the pit itself that they actually do, is a little faster. So I don't know if it's something that's different amongst those cars than the GT3. I was just looking at pit times. Looks to be about 10 seconds quicker than what the GT3 machine.
I'm sure there's a really big enduro fan out there who could probably let you know, and unfortunately, I'm not that.
Hey, I'm with you, Patrick. I agree with you.
NASCAR questions, I got you down, Pat, but this road racing stuff, while I love it, is still pretty new.
Well, you know, some of it is new on my end, and I appreciate all the input and everything out there. Again, appreciate everybody. You know, bearing with me out here because it's good stuff. I love road racing. We've got a lot of it going to be happening here on the major series, but we do have some NASCAR stuff going to be happening here on the major series also. But again, that is one of the things I did notice, pit stop times. About 10 seconds difference between the GT3 car. So it could be the fact of the fuel delivery, could be how the tires come in, you know, off and on. You know, it could be something. I'm going to say it's all got to be about how the fuel delivery is, the difference between the two cars.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, that would be the biggest thing I would have to say right there. BMW man up front, Zachary has locked it down most of the whole race so far. The Ferraris, though, they own the next 10. Man, I tell you what, look at this. Thought a minute Zachary might have came on pit road, but not yet. But Ferrari, though, owns the next 9 spots in the GTE class. So, and a long BMW man out front.
Yeah, you've seen Brian close in the gap a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. He was 6 seconds, now 5.6.
Oh, Chris Y losing it going into the turn. Up the apex there a little bit. Well, you got to go back here to Paul, who is running in the GT3 class. Been able to hang on to that top spot after the little incident that he had earlier on and after the pit stops. Got a couple drivers coming in. Robert there hanging on to second place spot in the GT3 class also. Ernie there in third. Lucas up the fourth. Those guys back there, you know, they've got some good racing going on amongst themselves. What do you think about it so far here, Patrick?
It's been a good race. Couple of mistakes, but nothing too back-breaking. And for that first hour, Brian and Zach were just right on top of it.
Yeah, I definitely like that right there. They were on top of it, Zachary. Well, Mark jumped out to the lead earlier on. Caught up a little bit, but the way it goes, you know, speaking of Mark, still been able to stay in the third place spot there. I mean, he's just not been able to make up any ground.
Yeah, but you know, considering the spins and considering how bad it could have been, I would consider a podium finish out of tonight's race a victory.
Oh, absolutely. You know, definitely a podium right there from in the GTE class. And just looking at where we're sitting at right now, Paul holding on to the top spot in the agreement class. And then you've also got Robert there in second. And Ernie. I'm going to say, is that Ernie Ludwig? They said Ernie. Aaron?
That's what I'd go with. Ernie Ludwig.
Nolan again, not having the night he wants off track there. Do the replay here and see what happened to him. Just went off track.
He's got a lot of damage on the front of that machine too.
Samuel Scott here. Go back on him now. He's had a up and down night in that Porsche. He's heading off into, looks like, fast part of the track here. NASCAR turn 4. He's heading off into turn 1. Got to woe that thing down. He just overdrove it and lost it.
especially being the season opener. It's such a good feeling to get the season off on the right foot, and you hate being, kind of in Samuel Scott's spot where you started really well, you were in 6th, but kind of mistakes to put you back in 19.
You're right. Definitely, you got to look at these guys and be patient as the best you possibly can out here. So far, so good. All these drivers. Got Karsten hanging on to the 11th place spot. Run for him right there. You got David's in 10th place. Kind of walking through the field, looking through some of these. They're very impressed by what the Ferrari guys are doing out here. But, hey, give it up. Man in the BMW out there, he's holding it down.
He is a one-man wrecking crew out front.
Good run for him. Zachary Brown out front. Brian Chambers there in 2nd. Mark Stevenson up in the 3rd. Donald there in the 4th. Brian Hollick hangs on to the top 5. That's your GTE class for the top 5. Paul looks like he's on pit road right now, so he's going to give up the GTE class to Robert. Now, Ernie being 2nd. Going to put Lucas up into the 3rd place, and Nolan's going to move up into 5th place here. All in the GT3 class. So Paul on pit road early on. I don't know. That's real early of a pit stop.
Yeah, you wonder if he can make it the rest of the way. He's got about 54 minutes to go.
That is well, I believe he can, because I think last time the GT3s, they went about an hour is what I said before. I mean, he's going to be clipping it close. It's unusual that he would come into pit road that early though.
Well, especially where you don't really see the fall off that maybe you see with other series at other tracks.
Fuel, maybe? Fuel might have been the thing he's looking at.
Yeah, I mean, if his calculations are good, you got to take that strategy and you got to run it all the way till the end.
And both of his pit stops were a minute 2, minute 3, so a lot long. And he's not the only one out there with a minute style pit stop. A lot of 40s. I see a lot of minute style pit stops for the G. So I'm just gonna go back to that question again. The GT3 the fuel delivery must be way different than what the GTE style car is. And I'm going to find out the M2. I'm going to look that up. Oh, Gary Nichols spinning it around.
Yeah, there really can't be much else as terrifying as being out front by 5 seconds and you see a car go around in front.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. All right, let's see if we can't come up with a difference. Somebody asked earlier on, out there is a major difference between the GT3. Well, get a little bit of info out here. A lot of people get it, the question of it and whatnot. Here we go. Some of it, the comparison of specs between a Porsche GT and a GT car. The GT car has about 10 horsepower more than the 3 version. The GT runner is about a little bit wider than what the GT3 brother, so it probably has a bit more downforce. That gives or takes wide with the edge. But the GT3 car does not have a bop. Doesn't have the balance of performance, and is 22 grams lighter. Actually, a little lighter. That's what I was thinking. So we'll back to a factor that not be understood on are the tires. The rear tires have the same tire width as those used in the GT3, but the tires on the front of the cars are 2.9 centimeters wider That means more grip at the front of the car, and that again means cornering. So there's just some difference.
And it's amazing how slight those differences may seem, but how big of a difference they make on the track.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that makes a huge difference. Any little bit like that, everybody might say, well, 10 horsepower, that's not a lot. Hey, that's a huge amount when it comes to racing, especially when you're racing for thousandths of a second, hundreds of a second, and, tenths and so forth and so on. But, yeah, a little bit of history there, the difference between the tech.
Guy I want to keep paying attention to, Dennis. Sorry about this, Dennis Meisner, up from 16th, started 16th, and is now 6th at the moment, chasing down a top 5.
Go back here on Lucas, though, man. We're also seeing him. He actually is off the track spinning. Looped it into the NASCAR part of the track.
Right in front of our leader again.
That's not what's... Well, I did find out some interesting...
You learn something new every day, right?
Well, we're on the virtual world here of iRacing, so let's go to the iRacing side. See. Trying to find out. They have a thing out here is talking about the difference between the iRacing and GT. Be interesting to give,
I imagine it's probably pretty similar, given that the lap time difference is, what, maybe a second or two?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's looking like out right now. Kind of the biggest major difference between those two. Still trying to find out that deal with the pit stops, which major pit stops.
The good news is be an enduro racing expert by the time we're all done here.
Oh, absolutely, and it's a good to know right there. Is kind of look between the difference in pit stops here.
So what do you think is the most taxing part about endurance racing, especially for these guys here? Is it the mental aspect of trying to keep concentration and hit your marks for the 2.5 hours, or is it physically when you start to feel it in your arms and shoulders? You've been sawing on that wheel for an hour and a half straight now.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna tell you, you're right. You'll start getting a little bit tired out there. As it looks like now, they got about, well, it's less than an hour they got left here. Get down to the last part of it. Here's some more interesting things about the differences on the GT. Now, the GTs allow more modifications compared to the road car than the GT3. For example, GT3 requires a bit more stock parts than the GTE. Only use the chassis, engine block, and cylinder head gaskets, I think. That's what it says, from the road car.
See, now that's fascinating because I didn't know they used those OEM parts. I thought they were purpose-built race engines.
probably to a certain extent they are. I mean, obviously they got to be able to withstand, you know, everything that's going on. But I do know that, you know, unlike NASCAR, where a lot of stuff, it might be specter here and there, but here it is more manufactured based. The BMW, Ferrari, Audi, all those guys, they do step in. They are a lot more, you know, manufacturer style based when it comes to what they do to these cars.
Now you wonder what engine do they all run? Because I believe the BMW is a turbo V6, and I thought the Ferrari 458 was a V8.
But you are right. You are pretty right on that BMW. They, I think they switched it out and went to the turbocharged style V6. I'm not sure if the Ferrari went back to 8 style. Zach Brown still leading it out front here with Brian Chambers there in second. Mark Stevenson hanging on to third. I mean, good race so far amongst all these, and we're talking about the difference between the cars and the difference between, you know, the GTE, GT3, which is what we're in here, the IMSA series. And that actually might be a question of, you know, IMSA itself, what they allow.
That's true, and it does seem to change kind of from year to year.
Yeah. Can't get a good word in. The M8, excuse me, I said M6 earlier on. M8 is the IMSA right now. The M8, the big car. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they're all certainly not small. I think probably the smallest car out here has got to be the Porsche.
Yeah, you're right there. So, a little more info here. Zachary's still hanging on to the top place spot right now. That GTE class. Robert's still holding on. I think he's made his pit stop yet of the G3. Now he's got Ernie right there behind him. Those two machines have yet to make their actual pit stops. Class.
Yeah, Zach's got to be careful. He's got quite the mess of lap cars in front of him here, so he's going to have to be really careful in how he navigates.
Oh. We can break it down here. But look at it, kind of neat here. You've got the IMSA for Daytona. Looks like it breaks down a lot of these out here. I kind of like a world of info for a lot of these machines.
Now, is the Ford GT running again this season?
It will be running, but it's not, you know, nobody out here is running it right now. That is an actual GT machine itself. So, and I know it runs in an IMSA.
Well, I had heard that Ford had stopped factory support for it.
Okay. You know what? Let's go. Well, let's find out.
But I wasn't sure if Chip Ganassi was still going to run it this year or not. He seems to really like those.
Well, it says Chip Ganassi is going to actually be running it. October 7th of 2019, the final chapter of that story written. The Mon, so it might be right. Ford actually pulling it. this one.
Yeah, I'd heard rumors about it, so it looks like the upcoming Le Mans race will be their last one.
Yep, it looks like right here that the iconic October the 12th of 20. That's when they brought the fact back in other techs here there. So it looks like 2020 they're not going to pull. Now that does not mean that they cannot actually run the 4 backing out.
You got Zachary Bound on pit road making his final pit stop of the evening.
Dude, and that means that's the leader of the race. Going to give it over to Brian Chambers right there. Brian's not coming in the pit road on the GTE style of things. Back there, Robert, though, hanging on the GT3. Yet to make a pit stop. I think everybody now at this moment will start making pit stops very soon.
Yeah, it's kind of about that time you can pit now and definitely be safe on fuel, I think.
All right, Brian Chambers, like you said, the man out front. Curious to see when he's going to make his pit stop. Because he what's that?
You'd have to imagine it would be this lap. He can't stay out too much longer, can he?
Well, I would think so. But also, you got to look at... And remember what Zachary did when he made his pit stop. Stayed out a little bit. He was able to get out there and then just kind of... Brian wasn't able to run him down, so to speak. He made a huge gap in between them.
It's definitely the money stop for Brian, that's for sure. He's got to get on and off pit road a little bit quicker than Zachary and try and make up those 5 seconds. He's going to go another time around.
Yeah, Brian right there, like you just said, going to take it around. Mark Stevenson's another one. Hanging on to that second place spot. I would have thought he would have tried maybe a short pit. Still on pit road.
Well, I imagine the longer you stay out, the less time you're going to end up spending on pit road because the less fuel you got to put.
Right. All right. Got Brian hanging on to the top spot in the GTE class. Hope everybody's enjoying it. The lights here at Daytona. First race of 2020. Get everybody tuning in. Got several more great races here, the major series. 2 great classes, the GTE, GT3. We've been going over some tech specs of the 2 style machines out here. Love these cars. I mean, even though the small differences between them, I still feel like, to me, when it comes to road racing, and obviously you've got to look at, you do have your Formula One, you have your LMP style cars and the prototype cars. But to me, I just there's just something about the E and the 3 machine that, I don't know. I guess it's because it looks close to the real machine, a real car that you actually can drive.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's certainly one of the... they all look nice and they all drive slightly different, but it's a manufacturer preference. It brings back that brand loyalty a lot of people.
Right. And I mentioned earlier, not throwing it out there because all these guys are great drivers out here and a lot of great machines. Now, I do like the Ferrari. I've always liked I believe it's the 458 is what the Ferrari is out here that is running. But I mean, and I love that style of car. I never will own one, unless I look up and hit a lot of years. But I mean, I love the BMW myself too. So, just such high, I don't know, high prestige right here between those brands. I mean, when you talk about those names.
Yeah, you're talking about record setting and so much history when it comes to just the brands themselves. I mean, when you think of Ferrari, you think of Le Mans and the race cars throughout the
I don't want to forget about the Porsche out here either. I mean, you know, we do have a couple of them out in the field. The Porsche definitely has a huge history when it comes to racing. They're on GT3 machine, GTR style cars out there that run, and the GT machine out here that's running. Porsche is out there, and then you've got the GT3 machine of the Mercedes and the Audi. The Audi, obviously, I believe they actually came out with a new machine here this past year, so they're upping their game a little bit. Do like the look of that car in particular. Kind of slick.
Yeah, it's got a real aggressive front end on it.
And Mark Stevenson made his pit stop. Him in. We're going to see once that man up front, Brian Chambers, makes his pit stop, and who knows when he's going to do it. We're an hour 47 in to 2 hours 24 here. Getting down to about 40-some minutes left.
Zach Brown must have had an incident. He's 45 seconds back of Brian.
He pitted earlier. And that's...
He was holding down second, wasn't he, when he came out?
No, he was back in about fourth, fifth.
Oh, I apologize.
That's all right. Nathan Brown right here looping it. What happened on the replay here? Oh, just overdrove the turn. Had to get heavy on the brakes. He spoke off of it there. Ooh.
You really got to wonder what Brian's fuel situation looks like at this moment.
I think he'll be okay. I think Brian will. Well, he's obviously got to come in the pit soon. Now, Zachary back there is obviously going to be okay. He's going to make up a lot of ground. You're just losing so much time right now. Let's down some lap. But the last lap for Zachary was a 1:43. I mean, Brian's maintaining. He's on pit road now, though, but he was maintaining. He was maintaining time. His fall off wasn't that bad. Zachary's surprising, even with his lap time. Zachary is not making up a lot of ground.
Nah, and this is definitely the money stop here for Brian. If he can get on and off pit road really quickly, maintain that lead, maintain those lap times.
Remember earlier, he was riding behind Zachary very patiently. As time ticks away, he's definitely going to be thinking about it and not do that. He's going to be like, look, it's going to be go time.
Oh, and you got Zach coming out of turn 4 right now.
He's heading off in. Looks like Brian's all pit road. Exiting right now.
Oh, they're going to be right on top of each other.
Yes, they are. Coming into turn 1 right along with Zachary here. If he goes by him, boy, this is going to be close. This could be the battle for the end right here, too.
Looks like Brian's going to maintain the lead.
Yep. But it's going to be a close one. Zachary's right there within striking distance, so we'll have to see now what can be done.
You've got a mess of lap cars.
Close. So now it's going to come down. Can the BMW pull it off, or can the Ferrari man pull it off up front? I mean, you still don't want to tell you, you don't want to take anything away. Mark is hanging on to that 4th place spot. I like the way these cars sound, too. They got a high pitch one.
They definitely, it's a good noise. Hey, race car noises are good noises.
Yeah, I mean, I really, I don't know. I just kind of unique. Any of the GT cars, they have a unique sound to them. It's almost like Indy cars or Formula 1 cars. They have just that distinct sound to them. GT cars, they have that kind of like a to them, and they got a little high-pitched whine. Kind of neat, but man, I'm gonna see, can Zachary, does he have enough time to run down old Brian Chambers up front?
Well, if he's praying that this lap traffic's going to give him a hand, that's for sure. He's, Brian's going to navigate it really well, and we'll see if that gives Zach a chance to get in tow with the.
It's a 3-second difference. You know, now in NASCAR terms, that would be an eternity. In road racing, no. It would only take one slip by Brian up front. Miss a braking point going into the turn, miss a shift somewhere, Zachary would be right there on top of him or making the pass. Don't take much. I mean, because you can lose 2 or 3 seconds in one turn here.
Oh, yeah, that's just, one bad corner, one missed braking zone, and he's on top.
Something to keep an eye on here to see what these guys do. As back in the GT3 class, Robert back here hanging on to the top spot in the 15th overall. He's got Lucas sitting in the second place, who was a good bit of distance behind him. So right now, Robert really just kind of put it in cruise control and see what he's got as Paul's hanging on to the third place there.
Yeah, it seems like the GT3 guys have really they flip-flop a lot of those top positions where it feels like the GTEs, it's kind of been the same 3-4 guys out front the whole.
Whoa, Chris Y off the track again. Overshot the turn. Having his hands full tonight. Joshua Allen moved back up to 5th overall in the GT3 class. He's actually bounced back over that mishap he had earlier on. Nathan, pit road. We'll get down to closing time here. Driver, now what starts going through your mind? Oh, Joshua Allen crashing. Just looked at him.
I think now you refocus and it's go time. You're pushing a little bit harder than you used to because you don't got a lot of time.
What happened to Joshua here though on the replay? Oh, he lost it coming out of the bus stop, slams the wall, turns the car over. He's upside down. That's the hardest wreck tonight.
That sounds like that's going to be the end of his night, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, he has to tow that thing back in. But wow, what a night. He definitely didn't want that. Right now, Zachary Brown. He is closing the gap in on Brian Chambers there. Down to 2.8 seconds. They have enough time as time is winding out.
Oh, he's hustling it, too.
Oh, yes. He can see him. And now you want to actually pick up the pace here.
And this looks like it's really going to turn out to be a really fitting end for this race. It's been an awesome race, and these guys are going to try and chase each other down for the next half.
Yeah, watching the replay here on Matt. Here, he actually had a wreck. Like he lost it. Overdrove the turn. All right, getting down to the final moments here. Zachary Brown have enough time to run down the man in front of him there, Brian Chambers, to take this win. First race of the majors here. 2.4 hours of Daytona, IMSA style. Here for the majors 2020. I say check them out at pacificmajors.com. First race of the new year, first race of the, new decade too. Wish everybody a happy new year. Hope everyone had a great one. Go. You're Zachary right now, Patrick. What's going through your mind? Brian out front leading it. Robert up in the first place. He's hanging out on the top spot on the GT3 side of it here. Oh, Robert on pit road. Thought he had taken his pit stop, but I guess not. So, man, holding the top spot down. Robert on pit road. Wow. Probably going to let Paul take over the top spot again. So he's coming through the bus stop right now. Still with me there, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Just riding on board with Zach Brown right now, watching him really chase after Brian.
Yeah, Paul in the GT3 class will stay in second as Robert takes his pit stop and gets back off pit road in front of him. Wow.
Well, it looks like the GT3s might end up in a good battle for the lead, too. Paul's not too far behind Robert.
No, he's not, and that's what I was looking at there. Robert is still got that lead on him. And he just made a pit stop, so if he took tires, he's looked like he took tires because he had a 20. Had to get fuel.
Zach Brown really closing up.
Yeah, he's 1.7 seconds. Be about 24 minutes to go in this one. We'll tell you what, Patrick is going to heat up here for the top spot.
And it's absolutely a fitting end to this thing, too.
Yeah, it is. I mean, these two guys up here, like I said, BMW versus Ferrari up front. Which one's going to be able to pull it off? Zachary Brown, Brian Chambers. Brian hanging on to the top spot. Zachary's got it held down in second, but he is closing. He has made that gap. He was about a little over 3 seconds back. Now he is 1.7 seconds. We're working on, folks, right now. Working on about 24 minutes to go in this one. Think Zachary's got enough time, Patrick?
I do. And I think he's going to get there, too.
Yeah, right now, looking at his times, look at the last lap times here, kind of compare between the two. Well, not much of a difference there. I mean, Brian ran a 142.6 to 142.2. I mean, he is closing in, but he's not closing in a lot. He has enough time. He just cannot make a mistake. If he makes one mistake, and it's all done for me.
Well, you know how it goes. You keep checking that relative, and you see that number getting a little bit smaller, and maybe you try and drive it a little bit too hard to get away from him.
And that's what you're 100% right. I definitely go along with that. Brian right now could be looking, and maybe he's a chance that he could overdrive that car at this point. With the lead he's got and the time winding down, it's easier said than done to say, well, just don't do that. You get nervous, like you said, when you start seeing that guy close in.
Yeah, it definitely is easier said than done. Heart starts pumping a little bit better, and we'll see which one of these two's got ice in their vein.
And you want to win this thing. You want to win the first race of of the year, the first race of the series here for yours here for the Sportsman Series, the Majors 2020 here tonight. Well, you can see him flashing his lights telling the lap cars, hey, man, move. I got somebody breathing down my back deck lid here.
Well, especially you want to do it on TV, too. You want to be able to go to work the next day, show all your coworkers, show all your friends at school, hey, look at what I did.
Absolutely. Look, yeah, maybe famous. We're out here. We're looking good. I put this Ferrari in victory lane. Beat that BMW right now. He's coming up on the back end. He don't want to catch this lap car at the wrong time. Zachary making his way around him. Oh, man. Getting intense up
Yeah,
front.
he kind of held him up through that corner.
Brian right there looks good. Zachary, Zachary did spin it. Whoa. Yes, he did. Almost lost it. And I think, he's trying to get around the lap machine. That might have been him overdriving it, but that might have been enough right there to seal the deal for Zachary at the front. Because that puts him about 5 seconds back. Oh, is it 5? About 3.4 seconds back. Wow, he lost a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, good credit on saving it. He didn't loop it. He was able to keep it going straight. It definitely could have been a lot worse, but you're right. His shot at it may be gone on that.
Wow, that could have been enough right there to seal it. I mean, Zachary trying to go around some lap traffic and then just all of a sudden almost losing. Good save by his end, though. JF Gooden. He just loops it going into the turn. Got a donkey on the side of that thing. On fire. So Brian right now has got a lot of breathing room. Wow. How fast this thing could turn.
It changes on a dime. That's all it takes is one corner.
Let's go back to the GT3 class and see what's going on as Robert's still holding down the top spot there. Paul sitting in the second place. Got Ernie right there in third. So you've got three guys. The GT3, Lucas hanging on to the fourth place and Nolan back in fifth. Those guys are pretty spread out right there. Somebody just majorly has an issue or a hiccup somewhere. Good run amongst all these guys, though.
Yeah, it's been a lot of really clean racing and a lot of guys giving each other room.
Yes, it has. And, that's your typical style road race right there. I mean, those guys definitely giving a lot of room, giving a lot of respect out on the track. That's good, too. Road racing, you always got to, they call it a gentleman style sport because a lot of these guys do give away a lot of respect on the track. I'd say the NASCAR guys don't, but they can get a little bit more aggressive on the track.
Yeah, I maybe wouldn't count out Zach Brown yet. He just closed in 5/10 on that lap.
That puts him 3 seconds back. We're 2 hours, 5 minutes in, so we're less than 20 minutes to go. He's going to need to be making up some massive, massive amount of time right now.
And if you're Brian, you are taking it easy, and you are keeping those tires in pristine condition in case he does get...
Well, the good thing is he's got a clean track, Tim, the race surface, and that machine up underneath him. That's all he's got to think about right now. Hit your marks, hit your braking points, hit that apex, turn in, turn off. Make sure you get your shifting right. Don't overdrive the turn. Don't come out of the turn and overdrive it. So a lot's got to be going through his mind. You're right. Just be careful.
Well, it's definitely the one aspect where if Zach does get to him, how much tire is Zach going to have left after just hammering on it to try and catch up?
And there's another thing. I mean, that's where Brian right now needs to look. He needs to be kind of patient, save as much as he can, because Zachary's going to have to run that car as hard. He is maintained. Problem is, when I'm looking here, the last lap times, that they're awful close with each other. Looking at maybe, but folks, we're not talking about tenths here. We're talking about hundredths. A 142.9 for Zachary to a 142. Looks like to be a 5 for Brian. So it looks like one lap one's faster, one lap's the other. I think Zachary's eat up a lot of his tires.
Yeah, I think so too. He's definitely pushed it to that point where maybe there's just not a lot of bite left.
Absolutely. The rest of the GTE machines here. Watching Nathan back here in 11th place spot. Peter back in 12th place. He's a lone man with that Porsche machine. The top Porsche driver there in 12th place, Peter is. GTE class. Another BMW out there. Karsten, who's hung on to the 10th place. He's moved it up there. Pretty good looking machine there. Got to go back. Robert's still your main guy with the GT3, though, hanging on to it with that Mercedes.
Yeah, he's got a pretty big gap there on Paul, so I think he's going to be able to hang on barring any kind of a big mistake.
And if you look at his lap time, his last lap was a 144.9 to 145.6, so he's putting down some awesome lap times over Paul. Just needs to be careful. Bring it on home here as we're getting down close. About 14 to go in this one. Been a lot of great racing so far out here.
Yeah, and definitely if you're the league owner, you're proud to have this kind of display put on, especially broadcast.
Oh, absolutely. You know, like again, these guys, the Sportsman style series. I mean, you can catch the pro guys up there, but we got to give a lot of love for these guys out here because they've done an exceptional job on the track. And trying, you know, it's not an easy feat to get around this place here at Daytona, but they have done an outstanding job so far. All the classes and all the drivers, so give a shout out to those guys. Right now to Gary Nichols in the GT3 class, back in 12th place right now, holding 30th overall. Good so far. Trying to see if he can't, you know, finish this thing out here.
It's a big testament to how deep the league is. You know, when you move outside the pro guys and you get onto the Sportsman series, and you still get this kind of race.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of talent. Well, it's a good testament too to show you what iRacing has to offer. You know, the talent that they have out here, and the drivers, and what this thing, you know, what iRacing, you know, has as far as when it comes to road series. Like Matt's off to the happening. Might have just lost it. Oh, he hit the apex and just lost it. Another thing, you hit that apex of those bumps, the curbing will definitely upset these cars, and you can't send them around real easily.
Yeah, they're not friendly if you don't hit them right.
Absolutely not. I like what you were saying, though. You know, it is a testament to take your hats off to a lot of these guys out here that have been racing. You know, they do have a pro series. They have a pro 1 and 2, and then here the Sportsman series. So huge amount of drivers here at the major series. Major series being one of the top 2 tonight, and they do full style races here that are definitely, you know, prestigious. As well, we got 14 minutes to go, a little less here in this one. Wow, can Zach Brown make up the time? I mean, he is still quite a bit of ways back.
Yeah, barring any kind of big mistakes here by Brian, I think he's got it. If he can just keep it consistent and keep it straight, he's going to take this one.
Yeah, I mean, Zachary's, pulled down just a little bit, but he's not been able to pull down an awful lot. Down to 2 points, like about 2.6 seconds. But then again, you can look, Brian is far enough ahead. He actually can save, like you said, save. Kind of back off a little bit. Make sure you get around on this track just right. Gary Nichols again spins it around. Guys having trouble coming up onto the NASCAR back.
Well, that's one of those tricky corners where it's such a sharp corner with such a steep elevation change. When you do hit that corner, it'll really upset the car.
You got to hit it just right too. Just get a bus stop there. Because you're coming into such a high speed part of the track. Also, when you come out of that turn to right, just all of a sudden, boom, you come up on the hard lefter. Well, Zachary have enough here.
I see him locking the brakes up back there. He's trying.
And I think he lost a lot of time doing it too. Now he's back to 3.7 seconds. He was up to 2. Wow.
Yeah, he wiggled a bit coming out onto the NASCAR banking, and I think that's definitely going to be giving Brian enough to kind of hold on for the last 10 minutes or so.
Yeah. Ooh, salt on the moon right there. I mean, it just shows you how hard he is driving that machine. And I know it's frustrating. You dominated a lot of the race out front. But pit strategy played a factor here tonight. It's put Brian Chambers out front.
Yeah, he absolutely nailed it. And you got to kind of, as good as his driving has been, you have to give him a lot of credit for the strategy call, because that's definitely been the difference.
Yes, it has. A good run so far. All these guys have, and Brian Chambers, the man holding down the top spot in the G class. Out front, looking to try to put it in victory lane here. Overall, Zachary Brown there in second, Mark up in the third. GT3 sides, you got Robert up the first, Paul sitting in the second. Done amongst those drivers.
Well, Robert pulled a very similar strategy. He stayed out a lot longer than Paul did, and it looks like it might pay off for him here.
Oh, Dan Garber looping it, going into the bus stop there. Going to that machine.
Yeah, you hate to see it. He's, worked his way up from 19th into 13th, so you want to see him kind of hold it down and get a good finish.
That's right there. Paul's holding down the second spot, GT3 class. Along with Ernie Ludwig holding it down there. Then a third place spot. Go. Got less than 10 to go. 10 minutes here to go. Anything else as a driver you can do any different?
Well, I mean, if you're Brian, you just you keep it mistake free, maybe back it off, brake a little bit sooner than you thought you would, and if you're Zachary, you're really doing the same thing. You gotta put together solid laps and just kind of get in a rhythm, and there's not much you can do. You guys are very similarly matched, and just kind of hope for him.
And Zachary don't want to make a mistake. Look who's back up to third. Mark Stevenson. Boy, he's had it up and down night tonight. Was out front leading early on in the race. Spun it around, lost it. Actually, a couple times he's lost it tonight. To muster back up and get up in the third. Definitely would love to come out here and hang on to that.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. I'd give that a win if I'm Mark. If I can finish third out of kind of how the race started and kind of kept losing it, I would call that a win.
Well, as we talk about Mark, every time we talk about him, he goes off track. See what happened here. Looks like he's trying to get around a lap car. Heading off into the turn. Just kind of maybe overdrove the turn.
I guess we're gonna have to stop doing that to him.
Yeah,
now.
he ain't lying. Yeah, no doubt. Watching the replay here, yeah, he's going into the turn. He drives it on the inside. Yeah, loops it. Loops it around. He tried to win for the pass. Looks like he drove it on the inside and went for the pass. Wow. But Mark trying to hang on to it there. I think he's in much, not in a huge, where Donald is at.
Donald's what, a good 20 seconds back from him by the looks of it.
It would take a huge lick, Mark, to really, I think at this point, mess it up on third place. Not saying that he can't. Take a huge one. Probably not
But
happy
it's
with the lap
racing.
car.
I mean, if you're sitting in Zach's spot right now, do you feel like this is one that just got away from you, or anything else you could have done different?
Well, the pit stop, I mean, the strategy there that Brian did earlier on, I mean, really, there's not a lot you can do about that. Brian stayed out so long. I think Zachary hit it too early. I think that's probably what he's kicking himself right now. Mark's having his hands full getting around his lap car. He finally does to the fast part of the track. But I think Zachary, by doing the short pit, I think now he's kicking himself, because I think that's where he lost all of his time and got behind Brian. He's probably feeling if he probably would have just stayed out a lot longer, he might have been okay there. I mean, really, it was the pit strategy that broke it, I think, for Brian. Not saying that he ain't got the speed, because if they would have been, neck and neck, I think Zachary has the speed over him. But it's just that gap is just too huge to overcome.
Yeah, especially with no kind of like lap traffic. It's been relatively clean here for Brian for the last couple of laps.
Absolutely. Right along with Zachary right here. Again, we go back, middle mistakes, and we go back to pit stop strategies. That all plays a factor here in these races. Saw it here. I mean, I got to give my hats off to Brian. Outstanding job he did up front.
Yeah, it's a great way for him to start off this season, and knock on wood, getting a win here if he can bring it home. Good strategy call, and if you're Zachary, you learn something.
Learn not what to do the next time around. Brian, the time is winding down. We're getting close to about 5 minutes left in this one. It feels like it's going to be 5 minutes to go, which would actually put them about another... Well, they're running lap times here. Minute 40. So 5 minutes. That'd put them about another 3 more laps. Give or take. Maybe 4. They're running close to times that they were running at the lawns.
As we kind of near the end of this race, I do want to talk about Dennis Meisner. I know I mentioned him earlier. He's still holding down that 6th spot. Started the race in 16th. He's been on a move today, and I think that's a really solid day for him too. That's something to be proud of.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you can move that many spots up through here and maintain it and be clean out front there, definitely looks good. That Ferrari, like I said, 6 overall and 6 overall in his respective class there of GTE. Been able to stay clean, stay out of trouble. Dennis having a good run here tonight. Good paint job too.
I like it. Looks good.
Flashy green up there. I'm not sure what it says on the front. It says Venom.
I got Wraith. Wraith Energy Racing.
Can't get a clue. Oh, right, yeah. Yep, you're right, Wraith. Couldn't see it from far angle. We got about work on about 2 minutes left here, which would put about a lap and a half for the man up front, Brian Chambers in the GTE class, and Robert for the GT3 class. Time winding down.
Yeah, if you're Brian, it's one of those moments where you take a deep breath and you're like, whew.
And you're right. You know, you still got to finish the race. You don't want to crash. You don't want to do anything like that. So, you know, definitely, you know, be careful. You've got a 4.5 second lead. You pretty much, unless the race is yours unless you mess it up. He has
just got to set it on cruise control.
Yeah, there you go. Set it on cruise control and let it glide. Don't want to. You know the butterflies are going off in the stomach. You're about to win. You'll keep going the way you are. You're about to win the first race of the season here for the Majors 2020. For the Daytona 2.4 hours here. IMSA series. Ooh, what a feeling that would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you had said earlier, this is the first time this particular series has been broadcasted live, so.
Yep. And you know, that is cool. I like that. I'm kind of happy Mike did that. He showcased these guys because they have put on a phenomenal race so far. Really interested to see what these guys can do when it comes to the NASCAR side of things, too. If a lot of the same drivers come back out and drive in that also. You know, because there is a point set up. There's a point system here for a lot of these guys. Brian looks like he's going to come down. So we're going to get to that closing. I think he's going to cross the line before the time is going to expire. So it's going to be at least one more lap, probably another lap around here before that time goes off.
Yeah, you should get the white flag next time around.
I know he would love to have got it that time, and that'd been all she wrote, but like right now, he's going to be the man out front. Robert holding down the top spot for the G3 class.
And that race has gotten a little bit tighter. Paul's not too far behind him.
Yeah, I just don't know if he's got enough time to be able to close in on him.
Yeah, coming in on the white flag lap, I don't think so. But I mean, you closed the gap, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and you just see what we're talking about. Brian Chambers is going to come out of NASCAR 4 here. Is going to take the white flag one more time here. He's going to shoot off down the back stretch here first. Going to the bus stop, and then he's going to come out of turn 3, head into turn 3 and 4. And it's going to take it the white flag. He's got a 4.7 second lead over the second place man, Zachary Brown. Wow, what a masterful pit stop to put him out front.
Yeah, right call, and it's going to pay off for him, that's for sure.
And there it is. Checkered flag, the man puts it in victory lane. Brian Chambers. Wow. Zachary Brown's going to come up in the second. Mark Stevenson, hang on. Might as well ride behind those slower cars. Going to come across the line. Right there you go. Mark Stevenson going to hang on to third. That's your GTE class. Robert right now is going to come out of it. He's going to win in the GT3 style. Paul's going to come up in the second there. And Irwin's going to hang on to third in that one. So, wow, what a finish to this one.
Yeah, it was a great race for everybody involved, and we talked about it enough, and what a good call that was for Brian. On that last pit stop, it won on the race.
If we can't get him, I was here bird with him. I mean, what's your thoughts on this one here, Patrick? Guys, we'll here so we can get bird with them.
It was a great race all around for these guys and for this league. It was a really good showcase for them, really good debut, and you saw a little bit of everything. You saw some really close battling early, and you saw a really important strategy call pay off in the end.
Absolutely, and let's see if we can't get our final results here for you folks. Up. What a race it was here tonight. Brian Chambers bringing it home, along with Zachary Brown in second, Mark Stevenson up in the third, and then Robert right there holding on to GT3 style. He holds that spot down with Paul hanging on the second. Run by all these guys here tonight. I mean, it's a good action here to be for what it was, and the road course. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was nice.
I did too. It was a really good.
Well, we'll see if we can't get anybody up here, man, to get bird with them. I told a lot of guys to jump up in here. About 3, if they like. Them up here to jump up here.
After a race like that, taking a nice deep breath and sitting back in the chair for the first time.
Absolutely. Folks, it might be a virtual world, but you're definitely tired. After a race like this, takes a lot out of you. All right, let's see what we got here. Is guys panning out. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed it. That was a fantastic race out there. What a show. We've got a guy finished 8th overall. Excuse me, 5th overall in the GT3 class. I'm bringing him down here and let you get a word. Let you get a word in with him. Nolan, Joe in the booth, got a copy?
Hey guys.
How are you? Well, I tell you what, I didn't get on the top 3, but you was able to bounce back in that GT3 class. You was able to finish it out in the 5th place. I mean, how was your night? And I tell you what, that was an awesome race out there.
Well, yeah, it wasn't the most exciting thing from my view, Joe, but it was kind of decent. I had my simulator crash on me, so I had to start from the pit, so that was nice. I was surprised when I managed to get it up in the 5th. Had a bit of a heart attack when I spun it on the last lap. Thought I might lose out to I think that was Dave I was racing there, right to the line, and I'm still surprised I managed to beat him out.
Oh, absolutely. And you guys did an outstanding job throughout this whole race. 2.4 hours, though, here. I mean, not as long as what a 24-hour race would be. Still pretty much tiring, though. Was there anything else you could have done maybe to get up in your class?
Well, I think maybe for starters, not hitting that speed bump when I exited the pits at the first one would have been good. Kind of bent the fender up, wrecked the aero on the car. I lost like 3 seconds a lap after that. Probably could have gone for 4th after that, but probably wouldn't have been able to get much further up after that, I'm afraid.
Well, there you go. I tell you what, you got anybody you want to shout out real quick?
I'd really like to shout out Unorthodox Motorsports, my team. They're the ones that put the setups together. They've been really, really encouraging throughout the week, and it's been good fun. I'd like to shout out Mike as well and all of the other guys from the competition committee for the major series for putting this thing on. It's been a really fun, and I can't wait for the 500 coming up.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Well, you get in my ballpark NASCAR side of stuff, but either way, it was fun to do the road racing here. I love, man, how you guys been modulate this stuff. Again, there, Nolan. Congratulations on that 5th.
Thanks so much, guys. You have a good one.
All right, there you go. Old Nolan right there. Well, let's bring some of these guys up here. The top 3 guys in their respective classes. Wow, definitely interesting here. First off, let's bring up the man in the GT3, Paul. See if Paul's up here. Paul, right. Let's bring Robert. Robert, Joe White in the booth. Got a copy?
Hello.
Well, you were able to pull it off. I guess with a pit strategy out there, you was able to pull off the top spot in the GT3 class. How's it feel to pull off a win for your respective class here tonight?
It feels awesome. Made all that work pay off. 3 weeks of practice. I had full intentions of getting full tires both stops, but after I had the lead when everybody else pitted, I kind of figured my only chance was to go ahead and stay out, and it paid off.
Oh man, no doubt. I tell you what, it definitely was a awesome one out there, and you know, like you said, it paid off pit strategy wise, and you was able to hang on to it. Now, is it hard, man, to get around this track with those GT3 machines?
It's not too bad. You just have to be patient, get used to getting on the brakes early and just going through the corners. If you try to push it too hard, it just won't turn. And then you just got to baby the throttle coming off the corners because then it wants to spin out. So I was trying to be real easy on the tires. So I think I only lit them up maybe a half dozen times coming off the corners. So I was really trying to take care of them and keep from spinning.
Well, you got to do what you got to do out there, and it brought you home. Your top spot in your respective class there, the GT3. First one here of the season. Got to feel good for you out there. You got anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, the whole team. Mark, Zach, Chris, Brantley from Harpoon Design, putting those awesome paints on our car. We look pretty good out in the track there. But the whole team, without them, it never would have happened. Just give me the motivation to go out there and practice every day. I've never prepared for a race as much as I have this one, and the practice really does pay off.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what, again, congratulations there, Rob, on putting it in victory lane. All right, well, I'll tell you what, let's go up into the GTE side of things. Let's bring this man down, had an eventful night tonight. Mark, Joe White in the booth, got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, you had an eventful night. You started off in that Ferrari, and boy, you made it. You made it seem getting out front earlier, but kind of overdrove a couple times. Kind of up and down night for you, but you still was able to hang on to 3rd place.
Yeah, my main issue was seeing that first corner of the bus stop, just trying to get my eyes on it when there was a couple cars ahead of me. The way that their headlights were shining on that corner, I was just losing my focal point, and then when I'd catch it again, I'd lock it up. It's just really unfortunate, but still really happy with 3rd place. And Zach with 2nd. I really wish we would have been able to come home with a win on our first outing with the team, but Rob made sure that we got some winning points. I'm really happy. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you had a fan club out there rooting for you all throughout the race. But like what you said, it's road racing. Sometimes it can be just treacherous out there. You had a fast machine, but to be able to bounce back and get a podium here tonight, first race of the series here for the Sportsman here at the majors, that has to feel good. Good points night. Way to kick it off here for the year and for the decade. Got anybody you want to thank? Yeah, the team's great, and anybody who was in the chat saying anything, I didn't get to see the chat, so I'll check it a little bit later. But so thanks for everybody who watched the stream, and Rob for bringing it home. I'm not sure how Eric and Adam and Steve did on the pro splits yet, but we're gonna catch up with them in a minute. And for Zach and Chris and Daniel and all the guys that have just made this new team just excellent. It's just great, and I'm looking forward to Daytona because I think we're going to dominate there.
Hey, man, there you go. Definitely off to Daytona. Well, we're going to leave Daytona. You're going to go back to Daytona in a different configuration. But Mark, I tell you what, again, congratulations on that third.
Thank you very much, Joe.
All right, there you go. Third place man, Mark. Well, let's go to the second place man here, Zachary. Zachary, go ahead in the booth, guy.
Hey.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
You know, you had that BMW rolling, and don't get me wrong, I love the BMWs, but you had a full course of Ferraris all around you all night long. The bad thing is, let me ask a question. I think Brian might have done a pit strategy that kind of helped him out a lot. What was your take on that last pit stop?
Well, it was a little disappointing. I was planning to do a full tank and then a 70-70 for the last two stints. Unfortunately, though, my crew decided to pull me up back onto the jacks after my second pit stop after they were done and shaved off a couple seconds of my time, and I think that proved a little too much of a detriment to me to catch up to Brian again.
Well, you were catching him. You got within about 1.7 seconds with a lot of time left. Take us through, though. Looks like you had a little mishap there with a few lap traffic cars and maybe overdrove it and almost lost it in a turn.
Yeah, there was some of the lap traffic were being a little bit feisty with fighting me for the position on track, and I think a mix of it was everyone has their own little way of giving way to people in faster cars or lapped cars, and I think just I was expecting one of them to go one way and he actually went the other way by accident.
Well, you know, good save by your point that you were catching back up. I think if you would have got to Brian, well, just on my end, do you think you could have got around him if you could have got to him?
If I got into his draft on the back straight, I could have definitely stayed up with him. I mean, the draft here in this course is killer, and no doubt the BMWs do have a slight bit more power than the Ferraris down the back straight, so if you get into someone's draft, it's pretty much guaranteed you're sticking with them and possibly getting by them.
Well, I'll tell you what, you was able to pull it off, come up in second here, the GT class, and overall, good start to the series here for the Sportsman of the Major Series. Got anybody you want to thank?
Gotta thank the team, obviously, for helping me through everything, through setups, practice. Mark for letting me stick with the team before they were just going to keep me on the development program. And gotta thank some of my other teammates on track for giving me the odd draft once in a while to catch up.
Well, there you go. I tell you what, again, congratulations there, Zachary, on that second place.
Thank you.
All right, let's bring this man down. Who wins it tonight here? Brian Chambers, Joe at the booth. Got a copy?
Oh.
All right, Brian, well, I tell you what, man. What a great pit strategy there on that last pit stop. Got you out front, got you far enough there in front of Zachary. But he was closing. Was you getting a little worried there at the end?
I was a little bit worried. But like you said, the pit strategy worked out for me. I had that set up right from the first stint when I was staying right behind him, saving some fuel, hoping to set that up for the end, and it fortunately worked out with the traffic.
You're right, it definitely did. It brought you home in victory lane tonight, though. You was able to bring the Ferrari bunch there because he was the lone BMW out there. I mean, earlier on, which one do you think had the best as long as they was out front? The Ferrari or the BMW?
I think they were pretty evenly matched. I know that Zach seemed to have me through the bus stop. He had a little bit more time, but both Zach and Mark were tough competitors today, and I was fortunate enough to come out in front of both of them.
Oh, absolutely. Bringing it home here for the first race of the Major Sportsman Series here. Good call there on the pit strategy. Good call to bring it home here tonight for your overall class and the overall win. Anybody you want to thank?
Thank you.
I appreciate it there, Brian, as always. Congratulations on bringing in victory lane and the win tonight.
All right, thanks. You cut out there a little bit, but I'm excited for the win.
Absolutely. I tell you what, awesome run there. Brian Chambers bringing it home tonight. Patrick, what a race. What a finish to this one. Got any final thoughts on it?
I just hope that everything, the next race was as good as this one. It's, it was a lot of fun having me up here and being a part of this, and hopefully the good racing continues for you going forward.
Absolutely. My sentiments exactly as these guys are going to put on an awesome show. First race of Majors 2020 Sportsman Series is down. Daytona 2.5. The next one will be the Daytona 500. Out here in about a month, and February 9th is when it will be. Until then, I hope everybody enjoyed it and appreciated it. And again, congratulations to Brian Chambers for putting it in victory lane. For myself and Patrick and everybody at the Majors, everyone, have a good night.